Welcome to the next video in my Big Tips on the Big Board series. Today, the big communication tip that we're looking at is what to do when everything goes wrong. So when we're in a presentation and things just don't go our way, I want to take you through some ways of reacting and responding in the best way possible to deal with those situations when everything just doesn't go our way. To do that today, the music artist who's going to give us a hand is an absolute legend. She's one of my idols. Her name is Cher. We all know Cher. She is helping us out today. Big hair Cher. So there's 4 ways that I want to introduce to help us deal with these situations when things go wrong. And often it is in virtual presentations when the tech is completely out of our control and it goes wrong, but it might happen in person, and therefore these tips are applicable on both sides as well. The first thing to do, and this sounds easier said than done, I know, but is to stay calm. Now, this is super important, and it might also sound obvious, but when we're in those moments when things are going wrong, it can be really easy for us to overreact, get really stressed out, and not really be focusing and thinking straight on what we can be doing to respond as well as possible in those situations. So the first thing is just try to remain as calm as possible. It's going to give you much more of a chance of being able to rectify the situation in a really, hopefully, logical way. Now, just recently, I was delivering a workshop, and the worst thing that could have happened, and that was that my internet went completely down halfway through the presentation. And there I was scrambling for my backup option to get things back up and running. So it is easier said than done, but if we can remain as calm as possible, take a step back and just really think about what we can do in this situation, it is going to help us come across a lot more credible and be able to deal with that situation in as best way as possible. So first one is to stay calm, take some breaths, and then respond and react in the best way that we can. The H, the next one, is to be honest with our audience. Again, it might sound quite obvious, but being quite open and honest with the audience will go down a lot better than trying to pull the wool over their eyes and blag our way through something that is quite obvious to them that isn't quite working or going how it should be. For example, we might be running through a presentation, there might be a video that we want to play, and the video just isn't playing, the tech's just not working for us. It's obvious that something's going wrong, but if we can be as open and honest with our audience, it is going to go down a lot better. So using that example with the video going wrong, embrace that situation and let the audience know we did have a video lined up for you. It's not quite working at the moment, but we will get to it as soon as possible. For now, we're going to move on to the next part of the presentation, and then you can carry on from there. So be open, be honest, and accept that sometimes things do go wrong. But if we can say it in a way that's quite confident, we're in control of the situation, we're honest with what's happening, and we can quite quickly move on, that's going to really help our audience to feel as relaxed as possible as well. The last thing our audience wants to see is us crumbling on stage, on video, and they feel a little bit awkward. If we're coming across a bit awkward, we get that feeling of like, oh, please let the presenter make this work. We don't want to feel uncomfortable watching this. So know that your audience is on your side. Be open and honest with them. It's going to make them feel a lot more relaxed as well as you at the same time. The next one is to embrace these situations when things go wrong. You might be thinking, why on earth would I want to embrace a situation when I just think, can the ground swallow me up and get me out of this experience? But let's embrace it, because every opportunity we're putting ourselves in, especially when it comes to presentations, communicating in public, these are opportunities that we can learn from and we can grow from as well. So when we are in those situations, embrace it. Embrace that, yes, tech is probably going to go wrong. Embrace that there are things that are out of our control that we're going to have to deal with, but see them as a learning opportunity. This is hopefully going to help to stay calm in those situations, especially when we're prepared for things that might go wrong. we can kind of embrace it and use it as an opportunity to learn from. So it's a bit of a curveball one there, but next time you're in a situation where the tech's not working or something's going wrong in your presentation, embrace that moment. Again, remain calm, take some breaths, and remember why you're doing it and why you're there as well, and just move on as best as you can. The next one, and the final one, has two sides to it, and this is to reflect on what's happening. The two sides are really to reflect in the moment, but also afterwards. So taking the first one, when things are starting to go wrong, or you feel that, okay, this isn't going the way that I wanted it to, take a couple of moments just to reflect on where you're at. So if it is, okay, the video didn't play, or my slides aren't working, or you need to revisit the notes because you're forgetting what you're meant to be saying next, just take a moment to reflect on where you're at. Remind yourself of what you're saying, remind yourself of what's coming next, and just take those moments. The next part of that is to then reflect at the end of the presentation and look back at how you dealt with certain things, and also what you could then do differently later on and in a similar presentation you might be doing in the future. So the two sides to that is just to be able to reflect, again, seeing it as a learning opportunity. How could I have done that differently? What could I have done better next time? And therefore, what changes do I need to implement for my next presentations? Now, all of this is well and good when things go wrong and it's out of our control. And think about what you can control. If the internet breaks down completely, then yes, have a backup plan. Is it that you can tether off of your phone if it's that important that we need to do that? Or that you've got a backup plan to say, if my internet goes, you can contact someone in the audience. Anything that's going to give you a bit more confidence going into these situations. And it is going to give you that confidence, because often we're worried about what could go wrong rather than actually preparing for things that could go wrong. So when they do happen, we're quite confident that we've got a bit of a plan in place. So what are we going to do? We're going to stay calm, we're going to be honest with our audience, we'll embrace the situations when they happen, and we're going to reflect during that moment to get back on track, but also afterwards to be able to see it as a learning opportunity. That's the big communication tip today, how to deal with situations when things go wrong. If you found this video useful, check out even more ways to upgrade your impact by subscribing to my YouTube channel.